Oh my gosh, do any of you feel this way too? My house is always a mess. I clean and then it's messy again. I tidy one room and by the next day, sometimes even the same afternoon, it looks like I did nothing. Honestly, it drives me crazy sometimes. I used to think maybe I wasn't organizing things right, so I bought more bins, more shelves, more storage stuff. But the more I added, the more cramped and chaotic everything felt. Eventually, I realized. Number 1, let's start with the biggest lie. I used to believe that better storage would fix everything. I thought if I could just find the right containers, the mess would finally go away. I'd scroll through Pinterest, save perfectly labeled pantries and color-coded drawers, then head straight to the store to recreate that same feeling of control. But here's what actually happened. I kept stuffing more things into more containers, and somehow the space still felt heavy, still overwhelming. It wasn't the lack of organization that was draining me, it was the sheer volume of stuff I was trying to manage. And the more I tried to contain it, the more exhausted I became. I remember one weekend I tried to tackle the hallway closet, the one with towels, sheets, medicine tools, batteries, light bulbs, board games, everything. I bought matching bins, I labeled each shelf, I even color-coded the lids, and for 2 days it looked amazing. But a week later, it was back to chaos. Not because the system failed, but because I never questioned what actually belonged there. I had 7 old phone chargers, 2 heating pads. We never used board games with missing pieces. I wasn't organizing, I was hoarding neatly. Once I let go of the idea that everything deserved to stay just because I could fit it, the entire closet shifted. I could see what we had. I stopped rebuying things I forgot we owned. And weirdly enough, I stopped dreading opening that door. When you stop trying to organize clutter and start removing it, the result isn't just a tidy space, it's relief. You breathe easier, think clearer, and don't waste time managing things you don't even use. Tomorrow, I'll be sharing quick ways to spot clutter that's hiding in plain sight, even in organized spaces. Make sure to check back for that. But for now, let's look at why we keep reaching for organizing products and what we're really chasing when we do. Next, that little rush you get when you buy something to help organize, that sense of, okay, this is going to make things better. I used to chase that feeling a lot. Anytime the house started feeling unmanageable, my instinct was to fix it by buying something: a new basket, a tray, another set of drawer bins. I wasn't being reckless. I truly believed I was taking action, that I was investing in a calmer home. But here's what I didn't realize: I was treating emotional clutter with physical stuff. And it didn't work. Not once. The feeling of being overwhelmed didn't go away when the box of organizers arrived. In fact, sometimes it got worse. Because now I had to find space for the solution. Sometimes I hadn't even tackled the mess I was trying to solve. I just hoped the product would somehow make it easier. But if the stuff itself hadn't changed, nothing changed. There was a weekend I remember clearly. I was stressed, tired, and completely over the mess in the kids' art corner. I saw these cute little rolling carts online and ordered one thinking it would solve everything. But when it showed up, the problem was still there. Too many supplies, broken markers, things we hadn't used in months. I hadn't actually decluttered, I just layered a new item on top of the same old chaos. Organizing products aren't bad. But if we use them to avoid decisions, to delay facing what we actually have, they don't bring peace. They bring more maintenance, more pieces to wipe down, more parts to manage. When I finally stopped buying and started editing instead, the space became easier to live in. Not prettier necessarily, but calmer and more honest. And that's what I needed more than another rolling cart. Tip 3. There's a point where organizing stops being helpful and starts becoming another pressure, another way to feel behind. I didn't see it at first because it looked so productive. All the color-coded bins, the detailed systems, the little matching labels, it felt like control. But it wasn't peace. It was perfectionism in disguise. And honestly, at some point, it started to feel like my stuff was better dressed than I was. I used to think the problem was that I didn't have enough systems, so I created more. Categories within categories, labels for every drawer, a printed zone map for the kids' toys like I was running a warehouse, not a house with toddlers. And guess what? I was exhausted. Not just physically, but mentally. Because keeping that kind of system running takes work, constant invisible work. And when I couldn't keep up, I felt like I was failing, like I was the mess. The turning point came when I realized I wasn't organizing for function anymore. I was organizing for aesthetics, for control, for that dopamine hit of a satisfying space. But let's be honest, no one in my house cares if the batteries are in labeled containers. They just want to find the AAs when the remote dies. One afternoon, I looked at our bathroom cabinet and thought, why do I have labeled jars for cotton swabs, Next, you ever look around and think, wait, I just decluttered that moment where you swear you've already done the hard work, but somehow the clutter has crept right back in like it owns the place. Yeah, it took me way too long to realize clutter doesn't usually explode back in. It drifts back, slowly, quietly. One freebie, one, just in case. Item one, half-broken charger at a time. What makes it trickier is that some clutter doesn't look like clutter at first. It looks useful, like that extra reusable water bottle you got for free, or the candle someone gave you that you don't really like, but hey, it's new. Before you know it, those little things pile up, and suddenly that drawer you were so proud of last month doesn't close all the way anymore. I had this shelf in the hallway, one of those narrow ones where everything fits just barely. After decluttering it once, I felt amazing. But a month later, it was packed again. Not because I went shopping, but because I let things in without noticing. Mail I didn't deal with. A tool I meant to return to the garage, a scarf I never wore, but felt guilty giving away. None of them were big, but together they were heavy. What helped was creating a simple rule for myself: if something comes in, something else goes out. I didn't follow it perfectly, but just being aware changed everything. I stopped saying, I'll find a spot for this, and started asking, what am I willing to give up to make space for this? Clutter rarely announces itself, but when you get into the habit of questioning what you allow in, you're no longer playing catch up, you're staying ahead. Which brings us to something else I had to unlearn. Just because something looks organized doesn't mean it's helping. Tip 5. Have you ever stood in the aisle at the store, staring at a super specific organizer like one just for batteries, or one that holds exactly 12 granola bars, and thought, maybe this is what I need? I used to think the same way. If something had a perfectly tailored container, surely it meant I was being more organized. But the truth, those ultra-specific containers often created more work than they saved. They look helpful. They promise order. But in real life, they're needy. They need constant upkeep, regular refilling, and heaven help you if the shape of the item changes slightly. Now it no longer fits in its perfect spot. Instead of simplifying things, these tools often made me feel more behind. More like I was always trying to keep up with the system instead of the system working for me. I once bought a storage rack just for canned goods. It had levels, slots, and even tilted forward so the next can would roll into place. It was kind of brilliant for about 3 days. Then I ran out of one type of soup, had too many of another, and suddenly the whole thing was lopsided and annoying. Instead of making things easier, it made me more frustrated. And all I could think was, why am I rearranging chili like it's a display at the grocery store? Even my kids started avoiding that shelf because they didn't want to mess it up. That's when I knew it looked organized, but it wasn't functional. What's worked better is choosing open, flexible storage, bins without compartments, drawers without over-planning. When the storage fits your life, not just the object, you stop feeling like a store manager and start feeling. Next, have you ever opened a cabinet, seen a little gap of emptiness, and immediately thought, what can I put there? I used to do that without even realizing it. Somehow, any empty shelf felt like a missed opportunity. Like if there was space, it should be filled. More towels, more baskets, more backups just in case. But what I didn't see at the time was how that mindset quietly created more pressure. When every shelf is full, your brain stays full. There's no room to breathe, no room for change. And ironically, the fuller things get, the less usable they become. I had cabinets that looked organized but were so packed I dreaded opening them. Taking one thing out meant 3 others came tumbling after it. It was neat but not usable, labeled but not livable. One weekend, I decided to do a full sweep of our hallway linen closet. Instead of figuring out how to fit more, I asked myself, what if this shelf just stayed open? It felt weird at first, like I was breaking some unspoken rule about maximizing space. But the moment I left that shelf empty, I felt a surprising wave of calm. I could see everything clearly. I could grab what I needed without shifting piles. And I stopped buying extras just to fill the gap. Turns out, that little bit of blank space wasn't a waste, it was a gift. It gave my brain a break every time I opened the door. And it taught me something I still hold on to. Not every inch needs a purpose. Sometimes the most useful shelf is the one that gives you nothing at all. Which brings us to another place clutter hides, and it's not in your drawers or closets. It's in your daily habits. Tip 7. Ever notice how clutter seems to build up faster when your day feels chaotic? Like the house didn't actually get messier. But because your morning was rushed or your evening was packed, everything feels heavier. For a long time, I thought my problem was physical clutter. But a lot of it was actually coming from my daily rhythm, or lack of it. When the flow of the day is off, little things pile up fast. Dishes don't get done right after dinner, shoes get kicked off at the door but never make it to the rack, laundry sits folded but never put away. And it's not that we don't care, we're just tired, rushed, or distracted. The routine breaks down and the clutter fills in the cracks. And before you know it, your home feels like one big reminder of everything you didn't get to today. There was a stretch when I kept blaming the entryway for being cluttered. I tried baskets, wall hooks, a cute little bench. None of it worked. What I really needed was to change the habit 5 minutes every night to reset the space. Not a deep clean, just shoes, back mail, sorted bags, ready for the morning. Once that became part of the rhythm, the clutter basically stopped showing up there. The organization system was barely used because things weren't left out in the first place. It surprised me how such a tiny routine could shift the entire tone of a space. Not just in how it looked, but in how it felt. Like the house had exhaled. And honestly, so had I. Sometimes it's not more storage or more stuff you need. It's a small, gentle rhythm that tells your home it's safe to rest, even if just for tonight. Let's keep going because there's one more place clutter builds quietly, and it often looks productive. Tip 8. Have you ever spent an entire day doing stuff, but by the end, your house still looks the same or worse? That was a pattern I didn't recognize for years. I thought I was being productive just because I was always moving, picking things up, shifting piles, starting 5 different tasks, and finishing none of them. I stayed busy, but I didn't feel better. The clutter was still there, and my brain was just as scattered as the living room floor. What I realized later was that I was confusing activity with progress. Just because I was always doing something didn't mean I was actually solving the root issue. Most days, I was just managing clutter, not reducing it, rearranging instead of removing, tidying instead of deciding. And the worst part, that kind of surface busyness is draining. You end the day tired, but nothing feels lighter. There was a Saturday where I spent hours organizing the kids' bookshelf, pulling out all the books, lining them up by size, even dusting behind the shelves. But I didn't let go of any books, even the ones torn, outgrown, or never read. The shelf looked better, but it still felt overwhelming. A week later, it was messy again. What actually helped? Picking out just 10 books we truly loved, putting the rest away, and rotating them out monthly. Less was easier. Less actually got used. Being busy isn't the same as being clear. When I started shifting my focus from constant motion to intentional choices, my energy stopped disappearing into tasks that didn't matter. I wasn't just doing, I was deciding. And that changed everything. Which leads into something even more personal: how guilt keeps us holding on to things we no longer need. Tip 9. You know that weird sense of guilt that shows up when you think about getting rid of something, even if it's broken, even if you haven't touched it in years. I used to keep things not because I liked them, but because I felt bad letting them go. Gifts, expensive mistakes, things that used to matter but don't anymore. They all stayed because somewhere in my mind, getting rid of them felt ungrateful, or wasteful, or wrong. But here's what I've learned: guilt is not a reason to keep something. And holding on to things out of obligation doesn't make your home more meaningful, it just makes it more crowded. We think we're being respectful or responsible, but really we're just delaying a decision we already know deep down. I had a pair of shoes I never wore. They were a gift. Beautiful, expensive, and absolutely brutal on my feet. Every time I saw them, I felt guilty, like keeping them somehow honored the person who gave them to me. But the truth, they weren't honoring anyone. They were just taking up space, reminding me of the discomfort, both physical and emotional. They sat there like a little reminder of my inability to be the kind of person who would wear them. The day I let them go, I felt ridiculous for having held on to them so long. And also lighter. Not because the shoes took up so much space, but because the guilt did. Letting go wasn't just about the item, it was about permission. Permission to release what no longer serves me, even if it once did. Even if someone else thought I should keep it. And no, I didn't feel guilty after I let them go. I felt free. When guilt no longer controls what stays, you finally get to decide what feels right, not just what feels responsible. And that kind of clarity makes space for something we often forget to prioritize: ease. The kind that doesn't need permission. Next, how many things are you keeping? Just in case: a spare coffee maker in the garage, extra cords in a box under the bed, 3 coats that haven't been worn in years but might come in handy someday. I used to keep so many things out of this quiet fear that the moment I let them go, I'd need them. That fear kept my home full, but not in a good way. The just-in-case mindset sounds practical, but it's actually rooted in anxiety. It's a fear of not being prepared, of not having enough, of making a mistake. And ironically, it can make life harder. Because the more we hold on to, the harder it is to find what we actually use. We spend more time digging through backups than living in the present. I once found 3 sets of measuring cups in our kitchen. All different sizes, mismatched pieces, some half melted from old stovetop disasters. But I couldn't let them go, because what if we needed extras during a holiday? What if the kids used one for a school project? But you know what really happened? They got in the way every time I cooked. I used the same set over and over, and the rest just cluttered the drawer. When I finally gave myself permission to keep only what I truly use, everything got simpler. I wasn't digging through a drawer full of someday. I was reaching for what actually fit my life right now. And honestly, I've almost never missed the things I gave up. What I missed more was the time and space they'd been taking from me. And once you realize how much peace lives on the other side of enough, it becomes easier to stop holding space for things you never needed to carry. Sometimes the hardest things to declutter aren't the big bulky items. They're the ones that come with a tiny whisper of obligation. A souvenir from a trip you barely remember. A gift from someone you care about. Something you spent money on, even if it never really worked for you. These are the things we hold on to, not because they're useful or loved, but because we feel like we should. For years, I kept a decorative vase that didn't match anything in my home. It was a wedding gift, beautiful in theory, but heavy, awkward, and honestly not my style. I never used it, I never loved it, but I kept dusting it, moving it from shelf to shelf because it felt wrong to let it go, like I was breaking some invisible rule by not keeping what someone else chose for me. And every time I looked at it, it reminded me of guilt, not gratitude. The truth is, our homes should reflect who we are now, not who we were, not who someone else thinks we should be. When your shelves are filled with things that don't feel like you, it's harder to feel settled, harder to breathe. You start to lose that sense of calm that a home is meant to give you. Letting go of that vase didn't erase the relationship. It didn't undo the memory. It just made space, physical and emotional, for things I actually use and enjoy. And that's what makes a home feel like home. When you stop holding on to objects out of guilt or politeness, you start living in a space that's honest, a space that reflects who you are, not who you're trying to please. And that's not selfish. That's clarity. You ever find yourself organizing something, not because you need to, but because you saw someone else do it better? Maybe you watched a video of a perfectly labeled pantry or a drawer with every Q-tip in a glass jar, and suddenly your own home feels less. I've fallen into that trap more times than I can count. I'd see someone's restock video and feel this little voice saying you should be doing that too. But here's what I've learned. A lot of what we see isn't real life, it's performance. It's curated, lit, edited, and sometimes completely impractical. But our brains don't always separate that. We internalize the idea that a tidy home should look a certain way, when really what matters most is how it feels to live there. I once tried to recreate this fridge setup I saw online with matching bins, drink dispensers, clear trays. It looked amazing for about a day. Then real life showed up, the milk didn't fit, the apples rolled around. My kids kept putting things back in the wrong place. Eventually, I realized I wasn't creating a system for us. I was copying someone else's highlight reel. When I let that go, everything got easier. I started asking myself different questions, not, does this look good enough, but does... That's everything I've learned, or rather unlearned, about organizing over the years. And if you're still here, it probably means some part of it hit close to home. Maybe you've been trying really hard to keep things together. Maybe you've been buying all the right tools, following all the advice, but still feeling like your space is never quite settled. If that's you, I just want to say you're not failing, you're not behind. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to organize better, but to expect less from your stuff and more from your space. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about coming back to what actually supports you, what makes your days feel lighter, what helps your home feel like a place you want to be in, not just manage. And if that's something you want more of, I hope you'll stay with me. I'll be sharing more ways to make life at home feel less like a to-do list and more like a soft landing. Thanks for being here. And if this video helped at all, you can hit like, share it with a friend, or just come back for the next one. No pressure. You deserve a home that makes you feel okay to breathe.